I had one of those nights last night where the printer broke down, so I had to do everything writing, freehand. Good morning, everybody. I'd first like to read a poem that I wrote in the wee hours of a morning in 2015 when I had been through chemo, been through the Divestin that hadn't worked, and I thought things were bleak. It's called An Invisible Pain. Sitting all alone while others are asleep, with nothing to keep me company but my thoughts, which are so deep. The pain reminds me I am up, so no sleep for me tonight. I tried to keep the cancer out with my strength and all my might. You see, I was never given those words before, so I wasn't sure how to react. Your ovarian cancer advanced stage 4, Mrs. H, so now you'll deal with that. At home, I looked into a mirror which was placed upon the wall. I looked with eyes which were confused, as I couldn't see the cancer at all. My colour hadn't changed. My smile was still intact. Nope, there was no sign of cancer there, and that's an honest fact. But down the road, and a short time later, the chemo did kick in. I lost my hair, gained some weight, and felt no longer feminine. There were many people saying, "You're looking well, you don't look sick at all." If only I could tell them how my back was against the wall. I don't look ill. I'm not very thin. I still laugh and smile and dance. I've even been seen out strolling holding my husband's hand. I've had 12 sessions of chemo, 12 sessions of maintenance too, but the cancer keeps on coming back, so what's a girl to do? I feel sad, defeated and lonely. On days I let the cancer in. Then I try to push it out and start my day again. It's a story of many others, and they also live with fear. And just because we look so well does not mean we do not shed a silent tear. This is my cancer, my story. It's individual like me, and what I tend to do with it is plain for all to see. So, thank you. I was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer on the 20th of September 2014. News that was devastating to me and also to my husband and family, as they became victims of ovarian cancer by proxy. I asked my consultant to explain the process of staging the cancer, what the difference was between stage 1 and stage 4, and to be told that stage 4 meant the cancer had travelled to distant areas of the body was, to say the least, a moment I would not wish to go through again. I became accustomed to new words: peritoneum, a membrane that forms the lining of the abdominal cavity. Didn't know I had one of those. Carbotaxyl Avastin, the chemo cocktail. Palliative care. Now, palliative care scared the life out of me. I was sure I was dying. But it's actually care of your symptoms to give you a longer, better quality of life. My motto has always been for years, get busy living or get busy dying. And for the first 9 months after diagnosis, I was hectic doing the dying bit. During those dark days, I asked my husband to renew our wedding vows. I had asked him the same question on our 25th and 30th wedding anniversary, and I always got the same reply: once is enough for any man to go through that. So I was left with no other option than to use my cancer card. He gave in. Before he had time to change his mind or I became too unwell, we had the venue, invitations, band, videographer, suits, etc. organised by the end of January. March is National Ovarian Cancer Awareness Day in the UK. We didn't have an awareness day here, so I took that month in 2015 to email radio stations with the sole purpose of getting awareness of this disease out in the public domain. It was brought to my attention previous to this that some women thought a cervical smear test would detect ovarian cancer. I'm also a pragmatist, so I was arranging things that would make life easier for my husband. One of those things was to write him a basic cookery book. He's browsed it 3 times since. I did all this because the statistics Mr. Google were showing me felt I was running out of time. I felt lost, hurt, grief, and anger. Anger that I hadn't been aware of ovarian cancer and that I was diagnosed earlier. Grief of losing myself, losing the girl I used to be. Grief at the thought of missing my family. And hurt to know that my family and I would never go back to the same lives we had pre-diagnosis. I became proactive with my illness, putting awareness in the public domain, as I felt there was not a lot of information available to the general public on ovarian cancer. That was over 2 years ago, and a lot has changed since. I got busy living. I set goals easily achievable. I started a bucket list to give me something to aim for, which I succeeded in doing with the help of family and friends. My first driving lesson and my last one, never again to be done. So the instructor told me. I wanted to take a flying lesson. My driving instructor also taught me. I did that the same day. I bombed it up the Cork Road. I met the president and his wife. Tommy Fleming singing with him on the Marion show was not part of the bucket list, but it kind of filled a gap there. I was busy living because I had a wonderful medical oncologist with Professor Seamus O'Reilly, who I trusted and knew he had my back. So when the first line of chemo didn't work and Avastin didn't work for me, I knew Professor O'Reilly would have another path for me to go. I'm now on a trial drug named Olaparib. I'm one of the thousands of women throughout the world on this drug. It's licensed and being prescribed to women in America for almost 3 years. It's unlicensed in Ireland. It's licensed in the UK and is past to be available on the NHS. There are many women in Ireland on this drug. The criteria in getting this drug on a compassionate level is you get to be BRCA positive, stage 3 to 4, 2 lines of chemo completed. Olaparib is a PARP inhibitor, which inhibits certain cells to repair themselves, thus killing the cells. It is not a cure for ovarian cancer. I personally can see a day when a diagnosis of ovarian cancer will no longer be as bleak as it is today. I've learned a lot these past 2 years. Some things were difficult to accept. I learned about journalistic license, where what was said and what was printed often bared no relation. To accept difficult situations made me stronger. It put me in a position to make choices which were and are beneficial not only to me, but to my family. And at the end of the day, that is all that matters to me. Of course, I live with the fear that my illness might change for the worst. It's a fear that's experienced by many cancer patients. So how do I try to conquer this fear? I do it by understanding and accepting that no one, not even me, is promised a tomorrow. I can aim for it, but I'm not promised it. It's more important and beneficial to me to live for the present, for the moments, good or bad, and feel a sense of achievement that I got through another day. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell my story, for giving ovarian cancer patients and their families the tools to enable us to seek advice, comfort, and even allow us a rant or two on the Ovacare site. I also want to thank Ovacare for arranging these patient days, where there is an opportunity to gain knowledge, put a face to the name we talk to on Ovacare site, and to acknowledge the work Ovacare does through networking worldwide on research and treatment for ovarian cancer. Thank you very much.